All right. Hello, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started here with our first cast of the season. We're here in Division D East of NGS, so towards the lower end, but we've got two really awesome teams. Squaring off tonight, we have on our left for the home team, that's going to be our blue team for the evening. We have the Zul'jin Distillery, and against them, we're going to see the Illidancing Queens. Two pretty strong teams. Hopefully looking for a pretty even match tonight. So I'll go ahead and start off by bringing us some info. So because it is the first round, of course, we're not going to have any matches played yet. This is actually a flex match, but neither team has played their first round matchup yet. So we're looking at the first match this season for each of these teams. Looking at the home team first, Zul'jin Distillery placed third in Division D East last season, so strong historically within the division. They had an 18-8 map score, so looking pretty good there. Against them, we have the Illidancing Queens. They played in C East last season, so moving down this season with some roster changes. But they finished 8th with a respectable map score, sitting at 11-15. So overall, if I were to say that there's a favorite tonight, it would probably be Illidancing Queens, in my opinion. But if you've watched NGS, if you've seen matchups at the beginning of a season when you have people shifting around, you know that anything can happen with new roster members, obviously placements aren't always perfect, so you're going to have some teams in D that are going to be stronger than teams in C, and vice versa. So we'll have to see how it turns out for these two teams tonight, as we can go ahead and jump immediately into our maps here. So currently waiting on our first map choice here, but we did have the coin flip won by Zul'jin Distillery. They chose to take first pick. So the first ban went out to Illidancing Queens. They chose to ban away Tomb of the Spider Queen. Zul'jin Distillery actually decided to ban out Infernal Shrines, which is a map that normally you do see quite a bit, but they decided to go ahead and get rid of that. Towers of Doom was the next ban, and after that we have Sky Temple as the final ban from Zul'jin Distillery, which brings us into our first map, which I actually just got the invite to. It's going to be Battlefield of Eternity, picked by the Illidancing Queens. So, looking at this map, we're going to be expecting a lot of focus onto race on the Immortal, so single target damage there, as well as a focus onto some team fighting, because obviously if you can't win the team fights, you cannot win the Immortal, at least not when it comes to the late game and you've got some longer death timers there. Alright. Looks like we have both of our teams in the lobby. Perfect. We're going to be able to go ahead and get started any moment now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, since we are in Div D, you might see a bit of some more spicy picks, but all kinds of fun stuff can happen here, and I am excited for it. We should hopefully be starting any moment now, as we do have both of our teams here. But yeah, let me know who you're rooting for in the chat. Let me know who you think's going to win. I'll put up some polls, hopefully I'll remember to, during the draft, so that we can see just what we're thinking as far as who's going to win. I'll even start opening up the menu already here. Gotta remember how to spell Zul'jin Distillery. My brain always wants to jump to J, but no, it's G. It's G. I always guessed incorrectly the first time. But yeah, I'm excited. I've played against Illidancing Queens, and they definitely have strengths, and this is definitely a map that they prefer. But they have become kind of sorry. Let me start that sentence over. They can be kind of susceptible to snowballs. So if Zul'jin Distillery is able to get an early lead, we might see them taking some maps off of the Illidancing Queens here. Alrighty, looks like the teams should hopefully be getting ready here, having a bit of lobby banter as you do. Always appreciate that. Let me make sure I have all of the members in correctly here. And I believe I do. Yes, I do. Perfect. That always makes my life a lot easier. But I'm excited for this one. Hopefully you guys are as well. Very excited for this season. Planning to get a lot of casts in. Hopefully at least one a week, if not two. I know we do have... I'm playing a match tomorrow, which I will be streaming. And I am also casting another match, which I believe is also D-East, on Friday. So look forward to that. But for the moment, we're going to jump into our draft here between Zul'jin Distillery and the Illidancing Queens. So we're going to start off with bans here. So I would expect to see stuff like the Zul being taken away, maybe Deathwing as well, just typical meta bans. But you might also see some focus onto some other things that maybe might look unfamiliar if you haven't been playing a lot recently. Stuff like Rhaegar has actually popped up quite a bit recently because, oh, sorry, I completely clicked on the wrong thing there. My bad. But yeah, so stuff like Rhaegar has been popping up a lot recently because Bloodlust recently got buffed and is actually really powerful. But we are going to see the first ban being onto Vala, and that makes sense to me. I know Illidancing Queens has had quite a bit of success with a kind of hyper carry setup using a Uther often in the side lane or filling that second damage slot to allow for that kind of play. And Vala obviously is also very strong at racing the Immortal. Greymane, another strong hero when it comes to racing the Immortal, so they're going to go ahead and ban that out from the side of Illidancing Queens. And now we have the final two bans here before we get into some picks. From the first pick position, I wouldn't expect to see a ban onto Zul here, especially given the name, Zul being the namesake here of our left team. But will he get banned out here by the Illidancing Queens? He has had a nerf, so maybe not quite as OP as he was initially upon the rework, but a lot of people still think he's pretty strong. And it looks like the Illidancing Queens are in agreement there. First pick now going to be coming in. We did see Johanna banned out, so maybe we see something like an ETC picked up here early. Another tank who is super flexible, and without Johanna on the field, a lot of danger there, or a lot of potential interrupts there for the mosh pit are avoided, so that's something that we could potentially see. But no, it's going to be the Rhaegar. Like I was saying, Bloodlust, widely considered to be OP in certain parts of the community right now. I know I've been watching a lot of EU top tier play, and there's a lot of Rhaegar play there. So we'll see, is it going to be Bloodlust, or is this just a comfort pick here for lead for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery? We're going to see a Hanzo picked up here for Yotaru, and then a Garrosh for the main tank here. So looking to be able to get those throws and also race the Immortal here with the Hanzo. So good start out for the draft here, but one thing I will say, bit of an early Garrosh pick. We'll have to see if our blue team here is going to be able to punish that, as they do go for Raynor here. Exterminator recently got buffed, and that is a very powerful racing tool. And then we're also going to see ETC, as I had expected, picked up here for the main tank. I'll go ahead and start our poll here. Looks like we do have some people rooting for both teams. Always glad to see that. But it's going to be a Li Ming ban. Makes sense. That's a very powerful mage, especially on this map, because you can poke the Immortal, and those hectic team fights under the Immortal can often lead to those resets that Li Ming really wants to get. So good ban there from the side of the Illidancing Queens. What are we going to see now from Zul'jin Distillery? It's going to be Artanis. So wanting to take away even more of the racing potential that we might see here for the Illidancing Queens, who are currently missing a healer, so that is maybe going to get picked up here. Actually a bit surprised the healer didn't get banned, but prioritizing the race makes sense here as well from Zul'jin Distillery. So looking for a healer, an offlaner as well, and then their last damage slot. Ooh, it's going to be Tassadar. I think this is the first time I've gotten to cast a Tassadar. Very excited for that. Some people think he is insanely strong. Some people not as big fans. We'll have to see how Seztren plays it, and if he's able to make the impact to maybe force out a respect ban in the next game. But now the last two picks, potentially a mage, could be a second sustained DPS here as well. And then the offlaner for Zul'jin Distillery. It's going to be Phoenix, so opting for another auto attacker here, as I had expected, with likely a Bloodlust here. And then Arthas going to be able to slow down the enemy team, stop them from escaping the Bloodlust, and also potentially locking down the structures with the Syndragosa, something that is a lot more valuable now on the current patch because of the tower changes that we saw come in. Final pick here for Dax is going to be Yrel. Overall solid offlaner, can be very, very abusive if played correctly during the team fights. I'm enjoying both of these drafts so far, but I think that there's definitely a lot of potential here for the Bloodlust comp. So I'm going to say my vote for game one going to go to the side of Zul'jin Distillery, but we'll see if Illidancing Queens can prove me wrong, as they've definitely got a strong composition going for them as well. Alright. The poll should end in a moment here, but it looks like so far we're actually seeing Illidancing Queens favored, currently with 71% of the votes. So they're the crowd favorite for the evening. Excited to see if that works out for them or not. Portrait synergy for both teams is of course on point, an important thing there, as if you don't see that portrait synergy, that's pretty much just an automatic nerf to start it off. Alright. Going to be getting into our first map here. Starting on the left with the Zul'jin Distillery, we have DeWitt on the ETC, Ankle Shot on the Raynor, Be Fresh on the Phoenix, Cowboy Kyle on the Arthas, and Led playing the Rhaegar, looking for Bloodlust. Meanwhile, on their right, opposing them, is the Illidancing Queens, Stukov, played by Born to Shine, Seztren on Tassadar, D. Cherrywood on Garrosh, Yotaru on Hanzo, and Dax rounding it out with the Yrel. Got some nice friendly messages, some friendly banter in the chat. Always love to see that. And we're going to start off as I expected. We do see the Exterminator. That's going to allow for a lot, and I mean a lot, of damage onto the Immortal. We even see the Eternal Hunger. So starting out potentially an auto attack build here for Arthas, so very heavily committing into that auto attack based playstyle. We'll have to see how Illidancing Queens is going to deal with that, as it looks like so far doing pretty well. Ooh, a huge throw onto Phoenix, followed up perfectly by Born to Shine with the silence. That's going to be first blood for this game, as we actually have a body check at level 1 for Garrosh, so looking for a bit more aggressive kind of brawler build here on the ETC. Yotaru, already sitting at 7 stacks on his, I believe it's Simple Geometry? Yeah. Alright. Finally starting to figure out some of these talent names. And Tassadar stacking his new Q with the static charge here. That definitely chunks into late game, so watch for that. Meanwhile, in the top lane, looks like Cowboy Kyle actually winning out against Dax. Even with the Dauntless, looks like Cowboy Kyle just being able to be a bit abusive with his slows, stopping Yrel from getting some of her auto attacks out as well. So far, just about what you expect, just seeing the 4-1 split. Rhaegar actually backed there for mana, I imagine. But now we are getting a bit closer to the objective. We might see some movement towards the camps, whether it be Bruisers or the Siege camps. A nice interrupt there onto the stun by DeWitt. Very good job. Saved Phoenix for sure. As currently Raynor and Rhaegar are working on this Bruiser camp, getting it pumped out early. We'll have to see if they cap it now. Nope, they're going to hold it for the objective wisely. But right now, looks like Illidancing Queens are aware that there's 2 members who are not there, so they're going to start onto the Siege camp. We'll have to see if the Zul'jin Distillery is going to pick onto that. Looks like B-Fresh going to try to scout it out, but good zoning there from D. Cherrywood, and it's going to be a free camp. We're going to have to see if Illidancing Queens can get onto their Bruisers here, though, as the Immortals will be spawning. We do have the blue team's Immortal. You can tell because the shield will always be where the blue team's immortal is, and the crossed axes here on the mini-map are where the red teams are going to be. So currently positioning neutral here. Looks like Illidancing Queen's going to be able to get out their bruisers just in time here. And Zul'jin Distillery also getting theirs out thanks to prepping that earlier. But the first ones onto the race are going to be the Zul'jin Distillery, and you can see how quickly the Exterminator is allowing for them to chunk that immortal. They're making quick work of it, especially right now. Hanzo not quite optimized, hasn't finished his W quest, so the race going pretty heavily in favor of the Zul'jin Distillery for our first immortal here. And it looks like both teams happy to just race, not going to fight for it. So I would expect this to be an immortal for the Zul'jin Distillery. And it looks like it is going to be, but good race here from the side of the Illidancing Queens. They're going to take it down pretty low, make it nice and easy to defend, especially with these new tower changes. Decent damage went out onto the front walls for both of these sides, but the bruisers didn't get too much because of the fact that that race was so quick. Both teams not really wanting to fight in this early game here so far. And you can see Seztren with that Q on the taskbar already starting to chunk. If you take a look at stats here, actually Yrel with the highest hero damage for her team right now. Both offlaners with the highest hero damage even, because they're just constantly chunking into each other. But the defense looking pretty good so far from the side of Illidancing Queens, doing a good job of shutting it down. Ooh, looking for the throw onto DeWitt, but the slide and the immortal stun going to turn it around a little bit. Dax coming in with the flank, going to force Zul'jin Distillery back, but that's going to be half of the fort down. And Arthas was allowed to keep up the soak here in the bottom lane, so maybe about a wave missed from the Illidancing Queen's point of view. Not too much though, and they've got to be happy because they haven't lost a fort, they haven't fallen behind in XP, and they're scaling. Looking for this siege camp actually, while they have Dax here, going to get that for free. Throw going out onto DeWitt, followed up by the force wall and the silence from Stukov. That's going to be Yotaru's W quest, the simple geometry there, finished off, and a kill onto ETC. Illidancing Queens looking strong in the skirmishes here, and they're going to leave their 4-man up here with the camp, while Arthas has just been pushing in, has managed to get a turret, and now the mid wall here in the bottom lane, but Yrel is going to be meeting him. So I wouldn't expect for this last turret to fall. Bit of a mixed build here from Phoenix, although looking like mostly just focusing on slowing down the enemy team and getting that team fighting. A nice slide. Cherrywood having to burn the unstoppable there to get out, as the towers do so much damage, especially to Garrosh, because of the fact that they are reducing his armor there. As expected, we do have an auto attack focus build here from Arthas. We'll have to see if that works out, as level 10's not going to be here for either team, it looks like. The first immortal went by so quickly that neither team was really able to get enough XP to get towards those ultimates for this second immortal phase. So we'll have to see how the teams approach it. Last time Illidancing Queens was a bit behind in the race, and that led to them losing it. We'll have to see what happens here. Are they going to go for a more defensive posture? It looks like potentially so, but the race has already started here. Exterminator putting in solid work, getting about a third of the immortal there. But ETC thrown in, ooh, but able to slide out with a nice route from Arthas. And now it's just the Zul'jin Distillery poking onto the Illidancing Queen's immortal. Will they be able to defend it? Looks like so far they're doing a pretty good job of chunking onto the Zul'jin Distillery, but not getting any kills, which is allowing for the Zul'jin Distillery to poke away at the immortal. But Arthas getting caught by the immortal stun, falls very low and gets finished off by Seztren on the Tassadar. Into the fray used onto Dax, but he's out of mana, not going to be jumping under the towers there. And with the one kill, this is potential for Illidancing Queens to race, but it looks like they're looking for more kills, as they know that, or they're looking for XP actually, because they want to get level 10s, and they're going to send Yotaru off to race. He's the Hanzo, he's the majority of their race. The rest of them just want to focus on getting securing the defense of their immortal so that Hanzo isn't being countered out here. Cherrywood trying to chase, but getting harassed really hard here by Raynor. Raynor very strong into Garrosh because of his ability to just keep Garrosh back, but ults are going to come in here for both teams. Gonna see some snap picks here. I'll wait for stuff to finish getting locked in so that I can go over these, but halftime actually is going to be won thanks to Yotaru for the side of the Illidancing Queens, as we're going to see the stage dive for ETC, Hyperion, Purification Salvo, Sindragosa, and Bloodlust. So some nice spicy ults, and going in with the Bloodlust already. Looking for some offensive action here, but Ankle Shot getting chunked, taken out by the Decimate from Garrosh. We also see the Ardent Defender, the Archon, the Dragon's Arrow, and the Flailing Swipe. Huge jumps from Yrel, plus the chunking from Yotaru in that corridor is going to get 2 more kills on top of the Rainer who fell earlier, and that's going to be 3 kills and an Immortal here for the side of the Illidancing Queens. Very well played, waiting out the Bloodlust, knowing exactly what to do in that scenario, which allowed them to turn the fight and win the Immortal, and about a solid level lead here. Worth noting, the top fort did fall even lower here, so they're going to leave Dax to defend it and soak out this lane. But hopefully with this Immortal, they're looking to get some counter pressure on the side of the Illidancing Queens. Pushing in now with the Immortal, we're going to see Cherrywood looking for a bit of aggression here, but being careful, of course, has to be wary that doing any damage is going to trigger the Immortal, or sorry, the towers onto them, as we're going to see a Power Slide followed up by a nice Purification Salvo, resulting in Darth Cherrywood getting nice and low, but Phoenix is also getting low, caught by a huge scatter there, and now Ankle Shot caught by the Decimate and the Immortal stun there, only going to be saved by the Power Slide of DeWitt. But the fort will fall in favor of the Illidancing Queens. They're going to take the first structure of this game. In the top lane, Yrel doing a lot better than in the early game, it looks like. Currently 15 stacks for the Arthas on his trait. We're going to see the remainder of Illidancing Queens taking this camp while Zul'jin Distillery is D-pushing. Actually, Ankle Shot on the Rainer already going for the Bruiser camp here, looking to just enable his team to not have to worry about getting that at a later point, even going to cap it right now. As it looks like Dax on the Yrel is starting to do the same. This is going to leave the top unattended. We'll have to see if Cowboy Kyle on the Arthas is able to push in and take that fort, although I don't really expect him to be able to, as Arthas's push ability is not the strongest. Dax actually backing here for mana as Yotaru is going to finish off the camp. Wave is pushing in. Not quite going to finish off the fort though, as Yotaru is able to defend. But a 4-man rotation coming in from the side of Zul'jin Distillery should be able to get it. DeWitt even just tanking the fort for the moment. Going to have to back off though, as he doesn't get the connect onto Yotaru, but that fort is going to go down. It was too low for anything to really happen here. As we're going to see the engage now from the side of Illidancing Queens. Tassadar wasn't here yet, and Bloodlust is going to come out. Lots of damage going out onto both sides as Rainer and Garrosh are each going to fall 1 for 1 so far. Born to Shine being chased by a Phoenix, taking a ton of damage, but Rhaegar is actually going to be the first to fall, followed by Arthas here. And it looks like Stukov not going to be able to get out. Last minute auto attack from B-Fresh going to finish Born to Shine off. Will Phoenix be able to get away? Looks like a yes, so it's going to be a 3 for 3 trade, as actually we saw Garrosh fell earlier. But we saw Hanzo fall there at the same time as Stukov. So actually, looking at that, this race is very much in favor of the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. They have their main, or one of their main DPS in Phoenix up, able to race, and Rainer getting back well before Hanzo or Stukov. So I would expect this race to go in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, and you can see it started initially looking like Illidancing Queens were going to have it, but with the Exterminator coming in, very much turning around. So not too much of a lead for Zul'jin Distillery, but Illidancing Queens once again going to be on the defensive here. And Darth Cherrywood just not able to get it onto the backline here. And ETC more than happy where he is, as Sindragosa actually going to come out for the team fight, getting big slows, but meanwhile big AoE damage coming onto the Zul'jin Distillery, and that is going to be Arthas falling. Huge Purification Salvo after the stage dive is going to get a ton of damage, but now Be Fresh on the Phoenix is caught out a little bit. Lots of chunked members on both sides here. Ankle Shot on Raynor getting away with double digits of health. But the team fight is won for the side of the Illidancing Queens. Can they get this Immortal though? It's down to 1/3 and they need to send Yotaru to race. So it's going to be a 4v4 on their Immortal. They're going to have to try and hold out. Make sure that the Zul'jin Distillery doesn't get anything, but a nice throw onto DeWitt. He's going to get chunked pretty heavily as Sedgstren pops the Archon. Hyperion also coming out, but both sides having some pretty heroes. Looking at Dax and DeWitt here. Sedgstren also getting low on mana, but he's focusing on auto-attacking right now. Oh, a huge interrupt onto the teleport from Phoenix is going to allow the kill onto him, and now it's another 4v5. Once again in Illidancing Queen's favor, and it looks like the Immortal will be going for them after all. Much smaller shield than last time though, worth noting here. And the 16 talents also picked up here for the side of Illidancing Queens. That's some big power spikes. We're looking at stuff like Super Strain, Piercing Arrows, as well as the Templar's Verdict. Those are going to be really huge tools for their side. Even seeing the Earthshaker here for Garrosh, so looking for the big AoE stun off of his throw. 16 talents are pretty close for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery, but they are going to have to be careful on this defense. As their fort is falling pretty low. The Fresh getting slowed, caught by the Immortal Stun thrown, and even with the Unstoppable and the Bloodlust, he won't be able to get out. Now, Ankle Shot gonna have to do all of the defense. Bloodlust will certainly help him out here, but will it be enough here as the Immortal is going to assail onto the front wall. The shield is down, which is going to mean it's in that melee form, much easier for Ankle Shot to defend. But that's going to be the front wall also taken down by the side of the Illidancing Queens, so overall a very, very strong Immortal push for them. And they're going to be pretty far ahead here, but actually Stage Dive coming out, Tassadar caught, and going to be forced into using Archon here, trying to escape. A huge Flailing Swipe is going to enable him to escape, but a nice attempt there as the 16s came in for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Arthas rotating in, I really like that move from them. It shows that they're aware that they can win these fights if they're able to get them at the right time. But the Flailing Swipe there, of course, was also perfect from Born to Shine for the disengage. At this point, we do have some pretty strong 16s coming in here. We have the aggressive Shredding for ETC, as well as the Arsenal Overcharge for Phoenix, getting CDR even onto his ultimate ability here. Yrel forcing the ult here so that she can get onto that point, as well as the Hanzo arrow, but potentially a re-engage here. Oh, but a huge, huge Q coming out from Tassadar, going to hit 3 and take out the ETC there. The potential damage here, when you see this Q quest stacked, is ridiculous. Of course, having that 200 bonus damage on that Q, as well as just the natural scaling of that ability, is pretty strong. So choke point fights definitely favoring the piercing arrows, the Q there. Gosh, let me just check here real quick. What is that ability called? That is the Shock Ray from Tassadar. Very strong, going to allow them to just really chunk the enemy team. And now ETC's back up, but race is already starting for the side of the Illidancing Queens. You do have to be aware though, the race potential from a Phoenix and Exterminator Raynor is really crazy, and we did see that the race was going in their favor, but the engage from Illidancing Queen is going to push them off, and now Ankle Shot is caught in a place where he does not want to be. He's going to be falling. Stage Dive from DeWitt attempting to help, but it is too little, too late. And now it's a kill and a potential one team fight for the side of the Illidancing Queens, as they're going to jump onto Cowboy Kyle and onto DeWitt, and that's going to be a triple kill. Throwing the Stuka off to try and get the kill here. All in the meantime, the Bruiser Camp was taken and did take out the top keep here. And that's going to be a stagger death from the side of Zul'jin Distillery, and this is looking like a potentially game-ending push. If you look at the levels, we're going to have level 20 as well as the Immortal coming in here for the side of the Illidancing Queens. Zul'jin Distillery really suffering against this Garrosh. The picks have been very strong in forcing fights when the Illidancing Queens want them, and the Flailing Swipe has enabled them to deny the Bloodlust potential in pretty much every single fight so far. So good counterplay here from the Illidancing Queens, and really always getting the team fights when they want them. Alright, all members of Zul'jin Distillery will be up for this defense, but they're against the level 20 talents. We have the Controlled Chaos from Stukov, Bullseye from Hanzo, looking for some more CC. The Kala's Gift here from Tassadar, giving his team spell power, I believe that one is. Yep. As well as the Seraphim from Urel, and with that throw onto Rhaegar, oh, he gets the Bloodlust off, but that is a crucial pick here before the Immortal even gets here. Great throw there from D. Cherrywood. He picked up the Titanic Might for the double throw, making it a lot easier to get picks and better even team fight capability as the stage dive comes in, followed up by the Purification Salvo, as well as the Syndragosa, but it's too little, too late, as that's going to be Rainer falling. Cowboy Kyle caught by the Force Wall there. He's not quite falling, but the Immortal onto the core now. And 2 members down. It's looking like this is probably going to be game. ETC does fall. Core Mechanic trying to help out the friendly team here, but that's going to be 4 members dead, and game 1 going over to the side of the Illidancing Queens. GG. Very well played from them. In this first match, I was a little bit worried. I saw the Bloodlust comp, and I know what a Bloodlust comp can do, and I thought this might be a early start for the Zul'jin Distillery in taking the win here. But the discipline was definitely there from the Illidancing Queens. They were able to always get a pick before Bloodlust came out, or use the Flailing Swipe for the disengage, and consistently denied everything that the Zul'jin Distillery was looking for there. So very well played. We're going to see shortly here what our next map is. As we saw highest damage from Tassadar, both in the siege and the hero damage category there. One thing that is of note is, of course, like Tassadar has a lot of damage, but he's also quite immobile. So the Stukov with the Flailing Swipe there was very, very strong in denying the potential dive or engages onto him, which were lacking a little bit in and of themselves, and that's something I'd like to see maybe turned around. You've got the Bloodlust, but maybe go for a bit more aggressive heroes there. Maybe we see, I don't know, I always love a Kerrigan, but who knows. Very well played from both of these teams in the first match, but Illidancing Queens coming out on top on their favorite map. Alright, should hopefully be getting into that pretty soon here. Sorry, someone requesting info of me. My bad. Alrighty. Alright, glad to see we've got some people in chat. We did have a follow there. I'll go ahead and run that notification. Thank you to Sparhawks for that. Very much appreciated. Oh, just doesn't want to run. I hit the button to run it, and it just decided to say no. So not gonna have that here. But we should hopefully get into the map pick here pretty soon. I would expect Zul'jin Distillery is going to want first pick again, so we're probably going to be taken to another more teamfight oriented map, or a map that's maybe less macro dependent. So we might see something like Tomb, or well, no, Tomb was banned out. I'm wrong. Maybe, let's see. What are our options here? Could see Abraxas hold out. That's a potential pick there. We could also see maybe something like Cursed Hollow, where you do have a bit of macro focus, but a lot more team fighting as well, as every tribute is a potential for a team fight there. I think there was definitely good potential from the Zul'jin Distillery, but they got a bit shut down by the Stukov pick there. Played very well from Born to Shine. And the Garrosh also was very strong in getting picks, and a lot of the time I think, well, we did see some power slides and some face melts allowing saves onto the hero who got thrown by the Garrosh. I think we did see maybe 1 out of 3 throws, which granted is still very, very frequently. We saw a kill coming in for the Illidancing Queens, so they were very effective with that strategy. So that's something that I'd like to see maybe banned out for our next map here. If you're looking at it from the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Of course, I always love to go to a Game 3 if possible. So we'll have to see what they're going to go for here, as we're just waiting on the teams to get me the next lobby. Let me check. Alright, looks like we are not into a lobby yet, but yeah, so trying to come up with stuff to talk about, but same stuff always comes up. Yeah, so looking at that map, Battlefield of Eternity is entirely team fight based. So, as I say that, we have a lobby made. Ooh, spicy here. And we saw Zul'jin Distillery actually choosing to go for the map pick. And we're on Dragonshire. That's a very big change of pace. We're gonna see still potential for that kind of play with the Garrosh, looking for picks and looking for sustained team fighting in that bottom lane. But this is a map where communication is key. There's so much importance placed on understanding of the macro of the map and on the rotations. So I would expect to see a lot of focus onto that from these teams, and this could definitely be a map where I see Zul'jin Distillery turn it around. They are a long-standing team, whereas Illidancing Queens, I believe this is their 2nd season. They've got some new roster members with them, so who knows what we're going to see tonight on this map. I'm going to go ahead and give the teams my ready so that they know I am ready whenever they are. But I'll go ahead and just prep a poll here so we can see. Definitely last time there was some favor going for the Illidancing Queens. We'll have to see if that continues for this map, as we're going to jump into Dragonshire here any moment now. We've got ready from both teams, so hopefully we should be starting here any moment. Of course, lobbies take a while, but there we are. Dragonshire is our map. Wrong scene there. We got the draft going on. And first pick was given to the Illidancing Queens. So are we going to see them pulling out the Rhaegar, looking for the Bloodlust, trying to execute it better than the Zul'jin Distillery did? Rhaegar also very strong on this map because of his ability to take out camps really quickly. Camp clear is something that's really underrated, especially I found in lower divisions on this map, as the camps give so much pressure to open up the map early and also to force the enemy team to give up the control points, which potentially lead to the Dragon Knights. This is also a very late game map, so we might see some focus onto more late game heroes here from these teams. But the first ban from the Illidancing Queens is going to be onto Dehaka. So looking for the denial onto that off-lane global pressure, which can allow for some forced fights that are favorable for the Zul'jin Distillery, which was something they definitely were struggling to get in the last game. So they're going to ban out their namesake. Makes sense. They're in the 2nd pick, but always you hate to see a team having to ban out their namesake. Zul going to get taken away. Although I guess you could argue that Zul'jin is the namesake of our left team here, so we'll have to see. Maybe if we get an interview with them, If we see them turn around, maybe we'll ask them about that. But we're going to actually see Blaze getting banned out here. So 2 potential off-lane picks. Blaze obviously could also be played in the main tank role. But focus onto the off-lane, it looks like, from both teams so far. What are we going to see here as the ban from Zul'jin Distillery? Is it going to be the Tassadar that was so oppressive? Is it going to be the Yrel trying to get a more favorable off-lane matchup? It's going to be Johanna again. They don't want to deal with her. Her unstoppable, her wave clear, just her general control makes her very ban-worthy, and definitely something that I understand not wanting to have to go against when you aren't in that first pick position, or even if you are and just don't want to go for her yourself. And the first pick is going to be onto Rexxar here for Yotaro, actually. So a bit of a role swap here. Yotaro was the Hanzo last game, but going to be going into the off lane here with Rexxar, known as the King of Dragonshire, because when played well, you don't get the control point from Rexxar. He is very oppressive. You either lose soak or you lose the point. And we're going to actually see Kael'thas coming in here for ankle shot, as well as Malfurion. So not going for the Rhaegar again. Looks like he might be left out this game, although still a potential for him swapping sides. But Malfurion, a very solid support. Kael'thas gives a lot of poke onto the objective point in the bottom lane, as well as some nice wave and camp clear, which, as I said, is essential for this map especially. And we're going to see Dax going onto the Raynor here, and then the ETC this time going to be picked up for our red team here, the Illidancing Queens. So lots of really just solid all-around picks here right now. Neither too telling of the drafts. I'll go ahead and start our poll here so we can see who's gonna get the heart of the Twitch chat. Looks like Tassadar gonna be taken away. No surprise there. Says Trend still hadn't picked, and I'm certain that if they felt confident in it, they would go for it again, and that it could be just as oppressive as it was on Battlefield of Eternity. So they're just gonna deny that, as his poke is disgusting, and the Force Walls were also equally gross. As now we're gonna see the Garrosh denied. They take the ETC away, and they denied the tank pick that was used against the ETC in the previous game. So what's going to be the tank here now from the side of the Zul'jin Distillery? They've still also got the off-lane slot open, as well as a DPS slot. And it's going to be a Varian main tank, I assume, as well as a Tychus. So speccing fully into single-person blowups. And this is something that I think could definitely be effective for them. They took Dragonshire. That to me says they want to be better at communicating. They want to work better together as a team. So we're going to see actually Mephisto and Ana coming in. So a terrifying late game potential, or late pick combination there from the side of our red team. That's a lot of potential damage coming out. But with this pick comp coming out from the side of Zul'jin Distillery, I think I'm feeling good about this draft for them. And they've got the Yrel for themselves, so that's definitely a very strong pick. Yrel, great at bullying the solo lane, can even potentially get on top of Rexxar and turn around that matchup a bit in favor of the blue team. So looking at these drafts, can't say that I'd really prefer either of them. Looks like chat is going to go once again in favor of the Illidancing Queens here. Going to have 66.7% of chat voting for them. So we're going to be jumping into our game here. I probably should have let that poll run a bit longer. I think I thought that 2 minutes was longer than it actually was. Or maybe the draft just took a bit longer this time. But we do see, looks like chat still looking at Illidancing Queens for the favorite here. Can't blame them. Played very impressively, and with a Mephisto and an Ana, that's some really scary team fight coming in at level 10. So we'll have to see. Will Zul'jin Distillery turn it around, or are we gonna end it here on map number 2? As we're going to get started here, as I'm clicking onto people and screwing stuff up already. Starting out on the left, we have the Zul'jin Distillery. DeWitt playing the Varian, Ankle Shot on Kael'thas, Be Fresh on Tychus, Cowboy Kyle on the Urel, and Led playing Malfurion for the side of Zul'jin Distillery.
10 seconds.
Calling for a dance party, as we have on the red team Illidancing Queens, Born to Shine playing Ana, Seztren on Mephisto, D Cherrywood on ETC, Yotaru switching into the offlane on the Rexar, King of Dragonshire himself, and finishing off Dax on the Raynor. I don't know. Nice. We got a proper dance party going on here. Ooh, the first auto attack coming out here. But sprays, dances, everything coming out. Even matching sprays for the Zul'jin Distillery. Bit of a flex there. Gonna cause some aggression. A nice root onto Seztren. That's something that I really like to see. Ooh, and the Tychus getting tons of damage onto Darth Cherrywood. And that's first blood for Zul'jin Distillery in this game number 2. Also going to get ahead on the rotation as a result. Looking at level 1 talents, we're going to have the Lion's Maw coming in. Yep, Lion's Maw for DeWitt on the Varian. As well as a pretty standard talents overall. We do have Ace in the hole for Dax, so looking less for the camp control and more for the team fight there. So we'll have to see who's able to come out on top, as the early game looking very strong for the Zul'jin Distillery. Camp started for the Illidancing Queens, and Zul'jin Distillery checks it out, but not going to go for it. Looks like they're just trying to force ETC out of the lane so they can get this nice quick clear. As you would expect, Yotaru able to zone out Urel pretty easily here. And this is the strength of Rexar. He can just put Misha on the point while he soaks the lane, and Cowboy Kyle has to choose which he wants for himself. Looks like Kael'thas taking a while here on the camp, but it is going to come out ultimately, as we're going to have level 4s here for the Zul'jin Distillery. Taunt, as you would expect here, a very strong tool. Looks like it going for Born to Shine on the Ana. Follow-up route and the gravity lapse there from Kael'thas is going to be a dead Grandma. And these early kills are very strong for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Born to Shine telling them to respect their elders, as they are very high on the aggression for the Zul'jin Distillery, and not respecting the Grandma at all. Looks like both siege camps were cleared out pretty easily, but Darth Cherrywood again is a bit slow on the reaction to the Tychus trait there, and it's going to be another kill for the Zul'jin Distillery, which is going to allow them to start onto the Bruiser camp here. So looking early at trying to take control on the map. They're not too worried about losing the top lane because they're confident in their 4-man ability, as they've already got about a half level lead here. Tychus even going into in the rhythm here, just entirely hoping to get those nice 100-0s thanks to his trait, as they're able to pick up their level 7s here pretty soon. Not electing to push in this early, which is understandable given the tower changes, but even with just the Bruiser camp, going to get a bit of damage here, and the poke from Kael'thas is going to be allowing them to get even more and forcing back the red team a bit, so they're going to get about a turret here. Meanwhile, we did see Tychus soaking out the mid lane, but now it's a full 4v4. DeWitt gets stunned under the towers, but going to turn it around onto Seztren. The route a little bit late means the kill is not going to be there, but tap is forced out. And early on, it's looking very strong. A full level lead for Zul'jin Distillery. We're going to see the red team looking to take the point here, but with 2 members of the Zul'jin Distillery mid and pushing in very aggressively, already the mid wall and the top turret here taken out. Even the bot turret just taken for free. Zul'jin Distillery says, "Hey, who needs objective when you can just kill people and take structures?" And so far, turning out pretty well, is Born to Shine going to get caught by the taunt. Follow up not quite there, but the body blocks onto Darth Cherrywood are going to ensure that ETC falls. And that's another kill here. Cowboy Kyle in the top lane trying to force onto the objective here. Yotaru actually, ooh, barely catching the stun. Very good there. Going to save him from potentially getting taken out by Cowboy Kyle, as Rexar himself getting a little bit low. Aggressive invade onto the siege camp here, but with a level lead. Not unexpected here from the Zul'jin Distillery, and not really contested either. Yrel actually able to take the point away from Rexar thanks to her Righteous Hammer, pushing Misha off the point, and that is the first objective of the game coming in for the Zul'jin Distillery. Build's pretty normal, as you would expect so far, but the damage, actually Mephisto topping so far for the game, but the damage is not concentrated enough so far from the Illidancing Queens to get kills. Nano Boost will obviously help with that a lot, but right now they're down ultimate abilities. The Dragonite takes the mid fort, and DeWitt gets the taunt onto Seztren, followed up by a Gravity Lapse, followed up by Malfurion's Root, and that is going to be another kill. 5th one of the game here, as we've got almost a 2-level lead for the Zul'jin Distillery. Excellent play in this early game. Tychus and Kael'thas, not even that high on the damage numbers, but the burst that is here for the side of Zul'jin Distillery is disgusting to say the least, and gonna give them a nice early lead here. As you would expect from an Illidan team, or Illidan, Varian. Oh my goodness, I'm thinking of Illidancing Queens here, and jumping the gun a little bit here. But level 10s are going to come in for the Zul'jin Distillery. We're going to see the Shield Wall for Varian, the Tranquility for Malfurion, Phoenix for Kael'thas, Ardent Defender for Yrel, and the Draken Laser Drill. I wanted to say Kraken Laser Drill, but that's not quite right. Level 10s are finally here for the Illidancing Queens. They lost quite a bit while down 10s, losing the mid fort and most of all of the front wall in the bottom lane. They finally have the nano boost. They have stage dive as well, giving them some gank potential onto the top lane if we do see Yrel getting low. We've got the Hyperion for push pressure, the Durance of Hate going to allow some lockdown finally in favor of the red team here, and the Unleash the Boars as well. Darth Cherrywood though, caught out, gonna get taunted, gonna get hit by the Tychus, and going to fall. The punishability here from Zul'jin Distillery is so high and has been so effective so far. We're gonna have to see if Illidancing Queens can turn it around with their ults, as so far they've been struggling a little bit. DeWitt and Ankle Shot looking at this Bruiser camp in the bottom lane. 8-Bit says, "Be fresh looks fine all the time." Yeah, I agree, but he's looking especially fine so far in this game. And Dax face checks the bush, has to use his adrenaline rush there to survive the burst there, as we're seeing 60 stacks on in the rhythm for Tychus. Level 13's coming in now for the Illidancing Queens, as they're going to clear out this Bruiser camp in the top lane, as their own does a little bit of damage in the bottom lane. But they're focused on just getting all of the camps that they can. Varian currently on the siege, while the rest of his team in the top lane and on the Bruiser camp. And this Bruiser camp in the top lane will definitely help them. Of course, Rexar very strong at controlling the point. They actually currently have 2 people up there even, just to make sure that they don't get it for free. But with this Bruiser camp, that'll help out Cowboy Kyle a lot, as Rexar not known for his wave clear, or his camp clear rather. But now, 4-man of Zul'jin Distillery will be here pretty soon, only waiting on Tychus for the moment. And with their level 13 talents, they're going to take the early lead onto this objective, as they're currently going to be in control of both, and Tychus in the mid lane, uncontested. Is this just going to be a free Dragon Knight? Ooh, Dax committing the Hyperion, trying to deny the Dragon Knight, but it's coming through anyway, and that is a quick and easy pickup for the Zul'jin Distillery. Perfect timing of the camps allowed them to just control the map and immediately get that set up. Looking at level 13s for them, we do see Mortal Strike trying to deny Anna's save potential, as well as some extra damage and some extra protection here for the Tychus in the Neo Steel coating. Nano Boost has come out onto Seztren, going to get caught there by the enemy team. Uses his Shade to get away. Root was there, but not enough quite to shut him down. But that is now 2 forts for the Illidancing Queens. Dax gets nice and low, thanks to some casts over the wall from Kael'thas, and that is going to be a sizable lead now onto the map for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Bush is wisely checked by Darth Cherrywood, as my bad, we've got some chat messages on there. Let me just... There we go. Sorry about that. We're gonna see, though, both teams now looking for something. Right now is the best chance, really, for a even team fight here, I think, for Illidancing Queens before level 16s come in for Zul'jin Distillery. But right now, they just seem to be pressured in and not quite sure what to do. Yotaru getting some nice damage onto Cowboy Kyle. He is that bird build that you would expect, but gonna get caught out. Made aware of the gank a little bit too late, and he's going to fall. Level 13s are in with the Smelling Salts. Removing stuns and giving armor will be very, very helpful here. But not sure if that'll be enough. Well, even taken out by Zul'jin Distillery just to ensure that that lane sustain is taken away. We're also going to see the Mic Check, the Giddy Up, Shard of Hate, and Aspect of the Hawk. Right now, it's Darth Cherrywood who we need to be looking at, as he has been caught. Gonna use his stage dive actually to escape, and that's the first kill of the game, as DeWitt gets caught out under towers and going to take a ton of damage. The Nano Boost on to the Mephisto is going to put out a ton of damage, and that's finally some momentum here for the Illidancing Queens, and perfect timing too, as they did as the objective is just about to spawn, but Darth Cherrywood taking a ton of damage. Refresh going to be traded out, but that is a pretty important kill here for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Taking out the tank there, going to help them, as well as actually the healer here is Ana, caught out by Cowboy Kyle and Lead. Great play there from them. Even potentially looking for aggression onto Yotaru. Not going to finish it out, but excellent play here from Zul'jin Distillery to take what looked like a disadvantageous situation and turning it on its head once again. Level 16s should be here in time for the Illidancing Queens to contest here in the middle of the map, but it looks like they're potentially just giving away yet another Dragon Knight since their healer will not be up in time. Seztren gonna try to stall it, but now we see 3 members of Zul'jin Distillery here, and the interrupt onto the Durance of Hate is going to secure the kill onto him, and this kill onto Dax thanks to the firebomb from Kael'thas. That is the last thing you want to see, losing both of your damage as the 3rd Dragon Knight of the game comes in for the Zul'jin Distillery. Looking at the bottom lane, as you would expect here, that is the priority lane thanks to the camps that can push down that. And with the front wall already down, this should very likely be a keep here for the Zul'jin Distillery. Only question is, are they going to look for more? And the Dragon Knight, currently very healthy, actually going to go for the well in the mid lane, just trying to get rid of as much as it can. Actually starting to walk through the middle of all 3 turrets here, taking a lot of damage. One falls down, but DeWitt looks pretty unconcerned here, as he's taken quite a bit of damage from these towers, and it looks like it's going to be about half of the keep falling. Ooh, DeWitt charging in, gonna eat the Durance of Hate, but tons of damage coming out from Seztren. This is the nano boost potential that they've been waiting for, as DeWitt taking a ton of damage. Seztren going in with the resets thanks to his CDR, but a huge burned flesh onto 2, going to kill ETC and Mephisto, and Rexar is going to be the next to fall. Born to Shine and Dax on the Rainer, and Ana fall next, and that is likely to be game number 2 going out in favor of the Zul'jin Distillery. They still have to survive the core, as Tychus actually falls to it. The rocks here are a bit OP. Definitely need to be careful about that one. Got the nice petrifying stun effect there, but GG is going to be called, and that is going to be game number 2, dominantly taken here by Zul'jin Distillery. Definitely showing that first game was a fluke, and they're wanting to go to game 3. I gotta say, I was not expecting a win that dominant from the Varian composition. I thought they definitely had the potential to pull it out there to even up the score, but I was not expecting it to be that dominant. So far, we're looking at map pick winning 2 out of 2. So, are we going to see map pick here for Illidancing Queens, or are they going to go for first pick here? As we saw the Varian composition infamous for doing just this. Just completely pulling ahead early, and while there was definitely some strong showing in the late game, the levels lead and the stats difference even, I think, was enough to secure that game for the Zul'jin Distillery thanks to their early lead. 20's not even picked up for 3 of the members here. Alright, well, hopefully not caster cursing it for Illidancing Queens. They definitely, we saw game 1, they have the potential to turn this around. They are a very strong team, and I think if they're able to deny this kind of comp, they'll be able to execute very well. We'll have to see what the map pick for our next game is, though. As, both teams playing really well. I'm always happy to see that we get to go to a game 3. I'm interested though, because we saw game 1 dominant for the Illidancing Queens. They were they lost, I believe, the first Immortal just due to having not enough race, but they were able to then take the all of the Immortals after that dominantly, and it looks like it is going to be map pick chosen here for the side of the Illidancing Queens, as they're going to take us to Alterac Pass, another one of my favorite maps here. There's a little bit of macro focus, as you do have the rotations, potential for globals, and you have a very powerful camp that pushes down the middle lane. But again, a map with a lot of focus on brawling, and that is exactly what I think the Illidancing Queens want here. When they had those 4-on-4s or 5-on-5s, it looks like they had potential definitely in the last game, and they were able to win them pretty consistently in the first game. So they're going to try and force some more of that, try and avoid the rotational play that enabled the Varian comp to be so very strong in that last match that we saw. Alright. Another question, obviously. Do we see the Tassadar? Last time it was banned out in the 3rd ban from the side of Zul'jin Distillery, so Illidancing Queens knows that they're willing to ban it. So do we see Illidancing Queens going for it in their 1-2 as they don't have first pick? Or are we going to see maybe Zul'jin Distillery turning around and saying, we want the Tassadars. This is definitely a map that poke can be effective on, and that you can play pretty front to back, that kind of style of play. I would definitely say I don't expect a Varian to be given to Zul'jin Distillery again. I think regardless of the fact that this is a very different map, I'm not sure that we're going to see it let through, as that was, I think it was dominant enough, and there's no shortage of heroes who can do what Tychus and Kael'thas did there. They're known for their burstiness, but you could definitely go for a Jaina, you could go for Hanzo, or even a Falstad, get some global potential in there. So I'm very excited. We're gonna see game 3. We're on a more macro focused map here, and we'll hopefully be jumping in any moment now. We'll have to see if that game was enough to sway people to vote for the Zul'jin Distillery. Last 2 games, Illidancing Queens came out ahead in the polls. We're gonna have to see if that is the case again here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a bit of a turn here. I believe the kill count game 1 was 3-20, and then we saw 16-3 in this last game, so very strong play on the respective map picks. So that would lead you to believe this map is favoring the side of our red team of the Illidancing Queens, but can't be sure until we get in game. So just waiting on one team as we have some people taking a bio break. Makes sense. I definitely appreciate the water break between games for sure. His throat gets sore. But yeah, looking at this map, I think we could also see some maybe picks. The last two games, not the best games for globals or some crazy macro play necessarily, but you can definitely see stuff like the Abathur, potential Falstad coming in, and that would be something that I'd like to see from one of these teams, just because it's always fun for me to see how teams are able to play around those kind of heroes, see if they're able to pull it out and get an advantage in that way, as both games so far have seen pretty early advantages and pretty obvious. A team got in the lead and they pretty much never fell behind both of these games. So I would expect maybe some late game heroes to try and turn things around. Maybe we see some macro focus to make sure that you're not falling behind in the early game quite as much. Lots of potential here for these two teams to go into a lot of different things. There's 88 heroes, I think, in the game right now, so you never know what we're going to see. So we're still just waiting on one to get back from a bio break so we can jump into our third map here. Alright. Valk is here for the pineapple pizza. Well, I'm not sure where the pineapple pizza is. If you find it, let me know. I'm down for some of that. But hopefully we're going to see some fun stuff in this third map as we have ready from our last team here. So we should hopefully be jumping right into our draft any moment now. Let me make sure I get into the right overlay this time. Just recently changed some of my hotkeys up. I added some scenes for stuff such as standings here, which will be a lot more useful in coming weeks, obviously, as right now the standings are pretty much everyone at 0, as we are at the start of the season. But we'll have some nice fancy stuff for upcoming casts, as well as we have stuff for when tournaments start happening, which I'm excited for. Tournament matches, when you get into the finals and you have the bracket stage, the heightened importance makes it a lot more interesting. Alright. So it looks like our second team is back. Are we starting here? Both teams are ready, I believe. Alright, we got confirmation from both teams, so hopefully jumping into draft any moment now here on Alterac Pass. Map pick of Illidancing Queens, so we're going to see first pick for the side of our blue team. The Zul'jin Distillery, that is. Tuna B, complimenting Cowboy Kyle in the last game. I was definitely impressed. I wasn't expecting Urel to be able to beat out the Rexar. Obviously, Rexar does require quite a bit of skill to play. You have to be able to interrupt those jumps with your Misha, but it looked like Yotaru was doing a pretty good job, so I was impressed to see such a oppressive play from Cowboy Kyle, and pretty consistently winning the game against Rexar, or winning the lane against Rexar, who is widely considered the king of Dragonshire because of his ability to win that lane. Is pineapple to Born to Shine what spinach is to Popeye? Excellent question. We'll have to see. If Illidancing Queens wins, we'll throw it out in the interview. We'll see if she can confirm or deny. Because we're gonna see a Deathwing ban coming out. He was completely ignored so far in the series, but with the global aspect on this map, they don't want to go against it. And for the same reason, it looks like we're going to see Dahaka banned from the side of the Illidancing Queens. Alrighty. Next ban here for the Zul'jin Distillery. I would expect Zul to get banned out from our red team, and so we're going to see Tassadar banned out. They know that it is definitely a possible 1-2 pick here, and even with the opportunity for more counterplay, they don't want to have to face it, so they're just going to get rid of it. Makes sense to me, as I believe that was a pretty big factor for the Illidancing Queens. And so Zul is going to get banned out here. Varian is up. Are we going to see an early commitment to it here for our blue team here? Is DeWitt going to pick up his Varian, or are they going to hold and play around it? Okay, looks like we're going to see starting out with the Kael'thas, and I like that because that's a neutral pick. It threatens going into the same comp for sure, but it also says it's also just a great hero all around for the poke, for the burst. Just lots of potential here from a good Kael'thas, and we definitely saw great Kael'thas play from Ankle Shot in that last map. Are going to see Abathur. Oh, I love to see it. As well as Mal'Ganis here. So Abathur played by Yotaru this game, going back into more of a DPS role, although obviously Abathur is a very, very different hero here. And then we're going to see Mal'Ganis picked up. Very, very beefy tank. May be looking at that as an opportunity to peel away when a taunt goes out on another hero. And also allows for them to get some 50 armor there at level 4 to stop the taunt combos. With that being said, we're going to see Led going for the Stukov, another strong follow-up healer here for the Varian, which is picked up for DeWitt. Ban's coming out now, and we're going to see, for the side of the Illidancing Queens, I don't know if we see a Tychus ban. We do, okay. So they don't want to deal with the burst that he gives there, and just Tychus, you know, the meme is that Nova's player killer #1, but last game made me want to think it's Tychus because he was shredding everyone who stepped up. And we're going to see Li Ming banned out for her poke and her gross, just her gross poke, and obviously resets are always a threat, but around this objective especially, that poke, if you're trying to get the channel and she's just sitting back and shelling away, it can single-handedly carry a team into winning objectives. 2 picks here for Illidancing Queens, and it looks like we're going to see Vala for Seztren. I'll be interested to see if we have Yotaru switching onto that. I know he was frequently the person who would play that kind of hyper carry hero, but we'll have to see if he sticks with the Abathur here. But a very, very big focus onto the level 10 plus team fighting here. Anduin with the potential save for the taunt target. And we're going to see Cowboy Kyle locking onto the Rexar himself this time, and Greymane filling in for Tychus here. I almost like that better. Obviously, we're going to see the damage coming on a little bit later, but with the Cursed Bullet, you're going to be able to ignore the armor there from Mal'Ganis, and also I think a lot better at being able to poke and maneuver around a fight if it does last longer, thanks to something like the Anduin being able to get the saves there. And Dax hopping onto the Urel. So we are going to see that coming in once again for the Illidancing Queens. So these are our 2 drafts, and I gotta say, I'm not sure. I think both of these teams have a lot of potential. We saw that DeWitt and his team were able to play around the taunt variant extremely well last map, but we also know that there's definitely some potential here with the Abathur, with the Mal'Ganis. I think I can't say who I'd give it to in this last game. It'll depend a lot on the play around heroes such as Abathur, as well as the Vala. We've got two very important, I guess, kind of filling the DPS roles here. So we're gonna have to see, are they gonna be able to carry their team? As so far, Pull is saying Zul'jin Distillery gonna come out on top. Gosh, I need to get these pulls lasting a bit longer. Draft wasn't over yet, so if someone hasn't voted, go ahead and say it. Right now we have 3 in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, 1 in favor of the Illidancing Queens, as we're going to jump into our last game here of this best of 3 series. On our left, we have the Zul'jin Distillery, led by DeWitt on the Varian, led on the Stukov, Ankle Shot on the Kael'thas, Befresh on the Greymane, and Cowboy Kyle finishing it off on the Rexar. Meanwhile, trying to turn it back and get the win, we're going to see D. Cherrywood on the Mal'Ganis, Yotaru on the Abathur, Dax on the Yrel, Born to Shine on the Anduin, and Seztren on the Vala for the Illidancing Queens. So on this map, we're going to see a bit of just kind of stall and soak play in the early game, as we're going to have some sprays coming out here, but these teams are mostly going to be looking to just soak lanes and likely get onto their camps early, as the camps on this map are, of course, extremely powerful and going to allow for very, very strong push into the lanes. Looks like rotation's going to start off in favor of the Zul'jin Distillery. A lot of respect afforded to the potential there from Varian. Yotaru going to burrow down into the bottom lane, try and meet the push here from Ankle Shot and soak out these last few minions here. Meanwhile, we are going to have Yrel against Rexar. Last time this was early on in favor of Rexar, but later on we saw Yrel coming out on top here. We're going to have to see if Dax can replicate the fantastic Yrel play. Yrel so far actually 100% win rate in this series. Have to see if that continues, as right now we've got Greymane and Stukov getting their own camp. So far, Illidancing Queens haven't rotated yet. We'll have to see, are they going to hold it for objective, or are they going to go for it early? Looking at quests, pretty standard talent, or looking at talents, we're looking at pretty standard stuff. We do have the Pursued by Grace here for Anduin, not something you see too much, but otherwise everything looking pretty normal here. Again, the Lion's Maw for Varian, so looking for the big Q slow to initiate those engages, get onto the taunt victim nice and early, as now we've got a big push coming in and only D. Cherrywood to defend it. Not sure if he'll be able to do that very effectively, as Seztren and Born to Shine just now finishing out their own siege camp. But with Greymane pushing behind this and the huge silence, that's going to be the entire front wall down, and that's because of the strongest power of these little Knoll camp minions, in that they're able to reduce the armor of structures, which allows heroes like Greymane, who already push so very effectively, to push even harder. And that's going to give them a nice early advantage here. If we see them picking up the first objective, maybe look for a fort to fall in the middle lane. We are going to see, as expected, the Might of Sargeras. That's a lot of anti-burst here for Darth Cherrywood. Going to help him out, as well as it's going to make him less of a target, and which will also free him up to protect his team if they are getting dove on, as we do, of course, have taunt at level 4 for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. In the top lane, looks like Cowboy Kyle doing, just kind of sitting back, chilling, not wanting Dax to be able to jump onto him, while Abathur, as he sees the blue team up in the mid lane, is able to come in and soak out this lane. DeWitt looking potentially to find him, but not going to be able to, as Zul'jin Distillery going to put both of their DPS onto this camp once again. It got them very strong results the first time they took it, so we're going to have to see just what they're able to get with it on this second push. Currently, Illidancing Queens just hovering around the objective, wanting to make sure they aren't getting it taken away, as DeWitt, actually the main tank for the team, holding the bottom soak against this Abathur, wanting to make sure his team doesn't fall behind. The main goal, obviously, of an Abathur team, you're going to want to get to 10 so that you can have that extra body with the ultimate evolution during the team fights. Before that, it's pretty rough trying to team fight, especially rough as the well going to fall here on the side of the Illidancing Queens. This early push very well executed here from the side of the Zul'jin Distillery, and that's going to allow them to get the early channel onto the objective. Level 7 in for both teams, and talents, everything still looking pretty much as you'd expect. We actually do have the Wizened Duelist here, very aggressive option here. We'll have to see if Afresh is able to stay alive and get that value on the talent, so that, as obviously when you die you are going to lose half of your stacks on that. But if you can keep up the auto attacks, that'll give him a ton of sustained damage, and it will be a pain here for the side of the Illidancing Queens. Darth Cherrywood going to get caught there, but the 50 armor going to help out a lot. Still the pull being used by Born to Shine, just making sure that the tank is staying alive here as Mule coming down in the mid lane. Very powerful tool for the side of the Illidancing Queens, but Darth Cherrywood gets caught for trying to interrupt and is going to fall. That's going to be the early channel onto the objective once again. Only so much stall going to come out here for the Illidancing Queens, and now level 9's coming in for both teams. And that is going to be likely the objective here for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Now, we do have to be aware that, of course, with an Abathur comp, you're not likely to win the first objective. You're just looking to try and stall, and they did a pretty good job at it. They're already almost to their level 10s, and they've kept even in XP so far. So not too worried about whether or not they're going to get super far behind before 10s, but it is all about this defense right now, as the aggression is very much there, and the mid lane already pretty pushed in thanks to the 2 siege camps that came out earlier. 10 going to be here slightly earlier for our blue team. We're going to see, actually this time we're going to have the Warbringer, so looking for the extra charges for Varian, less worried about protecting himself. We're also going to see the Cursed Bullet, the Massive Shove, the Phoenix, and Unleash the Boars. Level 10s also coming in for our red team now. Obviously we're going to have the Ultimate Evolution, as well as the Reign of Vengeance. We're actually going to have the Holy Word Salvation, so looking to save the taunt target here. Just even more opportunity here to keep your team alive against the oppressive, really just all in on one target focus here. And then we're going to have the Ardent Defender and the Carrion Swarm. So overall, I think definitely the right choices here. A lot of people might question the Holy Word Salvation, but I think if it's executed well by Born to Shine, that can turn these team fights. And obviously, the Ultimate Evolution is going to be a terrifying... Double Vala is going to be pretty scary if they're able to keep the Valas alive. A slight lead in XP here for Zul'jin Distillery, and it looks like they're going to potentially go for a boss here, maybe even baiting it? No, they're going to go for the boss here, as they do know that the lanes are pushed out here in the mid and bottom, thanks to the Devil Fort coming in from the first objective. So that should be a nice and easy first pickup here for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery, as Cowboy Kyle meeting some aggression but able to get away. So now the question is, we are having this boss pushing directly into a keep, and it looks like we're going to see Zul'jin Distillery looking to just push in even further by getting a second boss here. Dax scouting it out, making sure that they're not going to go for it, or that if they do, that the Illidancing Queens are aware, and he is going to be aware of that now. Right now, Stukov has the highest hero damage for his team, interestingly enough, followed by Varian. Vala has put out tons of hero damage this game, but so far just hasn't been enough. Stukov able to sustain his team through. And Illidancing Queens look willing to just give up this boss. They're going to start moving up, but I think once again it's going to be a bit too late, and this is just going to be a boss coming in for the side of the Zul'jin Distillery as they pick up their level 13s as well. We're going to see the Juggernaut coming in, so combined with the Warbringer at 10, going to allow for better burst for DeWitt here, trading out some survivability, of course. Boss going to be pushing in here. DeWitt at the side, looking to potentially get a taunt if we see a Vala step forward too aggressively, but looks like they're going to go ahead and start rotating away, just leaving Cowboy Kyle as they feel the fort is all but secured, and they're going to start moving towards the objective. Some very strong talents coming in here at the level 13 as well for our red team. We're going to see Gloom for Vala, the Velen's Chosen for Yrel, as well as the Blood Rush actually for Mal'Ganis, so giving him some more mobility there. The early channel is going to give about half of the time, it looks like, for the blue team. Going to give it up so that Rexar and Greymane can finish off this camp, which will push down the middle lane. But now we are going to see a team fight starting off. Potentially, looks like Yrel going to go soak the bottom lane, just trying to catch her team up, get them to level 14 so that they're even on stats here. But they need to take a fight fast because this siege camp pushing down the middle lane will do a lot of damage. Yotaru actually moving down a bit so he can drop in his Locust in the bottom lane. And Dax going to use his ult preemptively, expecting the taunt. And the fight has begun, but Yrel, now no longer having her ult, is going to get finished off. The double Mal'Ganis coming out. Interesting choice here. Looking for the chain stuns. Misha's going to fall, but that's only a quarter of a kill here. We're going to have Carrion Swarm coming out for Darth Cherrywood. Big CC coming out from Yotaru on the clone there, but not enough damage to secure any kills, and Seztren is out of mana here. Turnaround starting for the Zul'jin Distillery. As Seztren getting caught by the variant, gonna have to be pulled away from Born to Shine. Now maybe Darth Cherrywood also in danger. Gets caught by the chain of CC and blown up. In the meanwhile, we did see the middle wall falling down to the Null camp here from the Zul'jin Distillery, so doing very well once again with this taunt composition, showing their proficiency with it. D-Wade actually, though, taking a lot of damage, maybe getting a bit too aggressive onto the Illidancing Queens here, but now his team is here to support him, so the kill will not be finished on him. And actually, Dax getting low, and it's going to barely fall. Born to Shine not able to get that heal out in time to stop the Kael'thas Living Bomb from finishing out Yrel, and that is a disaster for the Illidancing Queens, as they're going to have to defend this with basically 3.5 members here, unless they want to commit the clone for the defense. Kael'thas taking the lead for his team, and while Vala has been doing lots of work, putting in tons of damage, once again the sustain and the ability to burst down the frontliners, as we've only seen Mal'Ganis and Yrel fall so far. It's been working out real well here for the blue team. Oh! The instant interrupt onto Holy Word Salvation is going to cause Mal'Ganis to fall just as Yrel gets back, and now it looks like this keep is in danger, as well as the other keeps, as we have the objective pushing down these lanes. Illidancing Queens in a bad spot here on this third map, and that is going to be multiple keeps falling, starting with the top lane. They have to be careful, or this could even potentially be game. They are down level 16 talents, and with 2 armor shields down on the core, it is within ending range. Looks like we're gonna see the Zul'jin Distillery just go for the third keep play here. Look for as much armor reduction onto this core as possible, as Yotaru did go for the clone onto Vala there. Speaking of Vala, Vala is down, as well as Anduin, and that is looking like it's going to be game number 3, going to the Zul'jin Distillery. GG. Alright, well, that was a very good game 3, pretty dominant from the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Wow. I cannot say that I was expecting it to be that dominant, but even looking at the stats, you might think, wow, this looks like, these stats look like it should have been the red team coming out on top, but the communication and the coordination from Zul'jin Distillery proved to be enough to put them out on top. Let's see if we can't get an interview here with one of them. All right. right. Yowzers coming out from Valk, definitely. I was not expecting a win that fast, especially given the map pick there. Alterac, normally a map that runs pretty long. Have to see here.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
I'm doing well. You guys have to be feeling pretty good about that nice turnaround there, getting a little reverse sweep. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it was a bummer after game one because I feel like we didn't really get much traction. Like we played okay, but I never felt like we got a big team fight win or anything after that first objective win. So we kind of switched up the way we were playing with the comps we drafted.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about the game one. So was obviously Bloodlust has been something where it looks like you guys have been seeing it a bit. I know I've been seeing it a lot. Popping up is a very strong thing. Was that something you guys just wanted to try out, or what was the idea behind that?
Yeah, we felt like we had a decent amount of immortal race, so we could use it flexibly, either on the objective or in team fight, but it felt like we never quite got the team fights we were looking for.
Definitely. I was noticing in chat as well that seemed like every time Bloodlust came out, Flailing Swipe came out pretty much immediately after. And so that led to you guys changing up strategies, and you looked really clean in games 2 and 3 with the variant comp. That's something you guys play a lot of, or because obviously I'm new to casting you guys, haven't seen you play too much. What's your history with the variant comp?
We played it a lot last season. I think like I don't know, 10
amount.
plus times, but in the off-season tournament, we didn't play it at all, I don't think.
Yeah,
maybe once, but we really haven't played it since last NGS season. But it's a kind of a comfort at this point.
Definitely. So it looked really strong. Do you think that was just turning it around because of the comp, or do you think taking away the Tassadar was part of it? Because I think that was definitely part of your struggle in the first game.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both. We were on something a little bit more comfortable for us, and without some of that long-range poke, it was a little bit easier for us to just play our game plan without worrying too much about the Illidancing Queens.
Yeah, I feel a big part of the way we play is to really threaten the tank, and I don't feel like we were able to do that at all on Garrosh because we had only auto attack game one, and so his armor was really strong. He could just stand in. So the variant with like the Tychus and of course the lifts and roots and all that stuff really makes the tank feel like they can't do anything, can't engage. So I feel like that was a big difference in game one and then between 2 and 3.
Definitely. All right, so only got one question before I'll go ahead and give you guys the floor for shoutouts. So looking at the series, if you had to give an MVP to one of the players, could be on either team, who would you say was the MVP of the series?
I feel like our off-lane Cowboy Kyle, he was doing some really good stuff for us, including winning what we thought was maybe not the best matchup for him on Dragonshire, but he managed to steal that top objective for us a couple of times, and that really helped us in game 2.
Definitely. I was not expecting Uriel to be taking the point from Rexar, but Cowboy Kyle proved me wrong. All right, so that's all the questions I've got. Floor is yours for shoutouts.
Shout out to Nutcracker, our 6th player. Shout out to the Illidancing Queens for some really good games. And shout out to you for casting, really appreciate it. And to Ripper for helping us out with strategy.
And I just wanted to say hi, Mom, in case she's actually watching.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I had a blast casting. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. I'm going to go ahead and head off.
All right,
All right,
thank you
thanks.
very much.
Thank you. All right. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you everyone who came out. Always love seeing the crowds from NGS. Always get a lot of people tuning in. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, helping me to get better at casting. If you have any feedback, the NGS did implement a nice little caster feedback form. You can do the command !feedback if you want to look at that, and just let me know, let the casting mods know how I did and how I can improve. Would be appreciate it. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the match. I'm going to go ahead and head out. Thank you everyone for coming once again.